Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Joe Ruch, joined here today with your forecaster, Ryan DePhillips.
Hi, Joe. I'm excited for this week's episode and for many more episodes to come this season. This past week, we've had some pretty interesting weather in the form of some snow squalls.
Indeed, those snow squalls did linger around early in this week, and hopefully, if you're not a fan of the snow, you can deliver some good news in your upcoming forecast.
Yeah, I hope so. It's going to be mostly cold and dry, as our chances of snow will be limited. But it is that chance, so stay tuned. To start this week's show, I'll be doing some nature in the news stories on how ice cover may permanently be reduced in northern hemispheric lakes and how crocodiles have evolved with climate change. How about you, Joe?
So this week, I'm going to be taking a look at how NFL players have managed to stay warm in some of the coldest games ever played in NFL history, as well as the deadliest winter accidents causing injuries.
Sounds like interesting stuff, but first, here's nature in the news. What would the consequences be if over 11% of northern hemispheric lakes permanently lose ice cover by the end of the century? York University researchers think that this plausible scenario may lead to devastating changes both ecologically and socioeconomically. Out of 51,000 northern hemispheric lakes studied, close to 5,700 lakes are projected to permanently lose ice cover by 2098. As much as 179 lakes may lose ice 10 years from now. Some relatively deep water bays off of Lake Superior and Lake Michigan are projected to become ice-free by 2055. The consequences will be an increase in toxic algae blooms, a dramatic decrease in water levels of lakes, and poorer drinking water for communities close to these lakes. It may already be too late for some northern hemispheric lakes, but more aggressive measures will be needed to be taken to preserve lake ice cover. Have you ever wondered why present-day crocodiles look very similar to when they did when the dinosaurs were around? University of Bristol researchers believe that these reptiles' highly versatile bodies and Earth's climate have a huge role in the similarities. Crocodiles, birds, and lizards were around in the Jurassic period some 200 million years ago, the same era as the dinosaurs. While thousands of present-day species of birds and lizards exist, only 25 species of present-day crocodiles exist. So, what gives? The lack of crocodile species and evolution in these creatures stems from a concept known as punctuated equilibrium. Basically, crocodile evolution is generally slow, but only evolves most rapidly in warmer climates. Other than fluctuations in the body sizes of crocodile species, these reptiles haven't changed much. Findings shows that it seems that crocodiles have evolved at a body plan suitable enough to adapt, even in today's global warming scenario.
Sitting out of an NFL game due to extremely cold weather is something that just doesn't happen. In fact, you have to go all the way back to 1933 to find the last time an NFL game was canceled due to extreme cold. NFL players are not immune to this cold, so it is very important that they have the appropriate equipment to keep them warm. The first piece of advice is to mentally prepare. Several athletes have insisted playing in the cold is mind over matter. They also use hand warmers to keep their hands very warm. If arm sleeves are not worn, players will often lather Vaseline on their arms and face to act as a shield against the cold. They also use heated benches for players who are sitting out or when the offense and defense switch spots. And the final piece of protection is layering up under uniform. Some players even get very creative like this. For example, Tom Brady, he wears an entire scuba suit to keep him warm against the cold. According to the Center of Disease Control, winter weather kills 2 times as many people as summer heat. This makes it very important to remain aware of the increased risk cold weather brings and understanding the most common types of winter accidents in order to avoid these injuries and stay safe. Approximately 1 million Americans are injured annually as a result of falling on ice and snow. Luckily, only 17,000 of these falls are fatal, but still, 17,000 is way too many. Basic tips to prevent these injuries include not texting while walking and walking on grassy surfaces. Additionally, you should always put ice melt down on slippery spots. Another injury is shoveling, which impacts about 100 people a year, causing death. What happens is a heart attack is triggered due to shortness of breath in the extreme cold. The final cause in winter of the most injuries is winter sports. Medical Express reports more than 700,000 injuries occur each year due to sledding alone. With all this being said, we're not saying to not enjoy your times outside, rather, be aware of what could go wrong.
Good evening, everyone. I'm student meteorologist Ryan DePhillips with your Central PA forecast. This past week, we had seen some cold air, some breezy conditions, and some snow squalls. As I expect that to change as we head into this weekend with mostly drier conditions, but that cold air will remain in place, especially on Saturday, and then eventually into next week, as we will have our next storm system. Just how much snow we can get? Stay tuned for the extended forecast. But as we take a look at the map, cold air will remain throughout most of New England and the Northeast, with some lingering lake effect snow showers by the Great Lakes, and then some light snow in New England. But as that snow moves further east, so will that low pressure and also that cold front. So a reinforcing shot of cold air will mean well below average temperatures throughout most of the Northeast as a high pressure system builds in. But some lingering lake effect flurries again will still be there on Saturday. But either way, bundle up. It's going to be a cold one. As we head in later into Saturday, and then eventually into Sunday, partly cloudy skies will lead the way into mostly cloudy skies as the high pressure system starts to weaken and move further north. And this weak low pressure system will start to weaken as well. But as that happens, another low pressure system from the south that's not on this map will make its way into our neck of the woods on Monday for our next potential snowmaker. But on Friday, temperature is pretty seasonable with a high of 33 degrees, a mix of sun and clouds. So if you're out and about, definitely bundle up. It's still chilly for this time of year, but especially as you head out later into the night, a low of 19 degrees with partly cloudy skies could be a bit breezy. So those wind chills could be in the single digits. So make sure you do bundle up. Saturday is going to be a cold one with a high of 26 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. And those increasing cloudiness will begin to really enhance on Sunday as temperatures will be 31 degrees. And that will lead the way into our next storm system. But now we're going to take it to Salix Iverson, who have a feature on December snowfall.
After a lackluster 2019 to 2020 winter snowfall, many Pennsylvania residents were excited about the snowstorm that took place on December 16th to the 17th of 2020. In order to break down the climatology of this event and look ahead to what we can expect for the remainder of this winter season and its snowfall, I talked to Kyle Imhoff, the Pennsylvania state climatologist and an instructor at Penn State's Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science.
December 2020, in terms of snowfall, will definitely be remembered for the snowstorm that occurred on the 16th and 17th. Because of that storm, it ended up being a relatively snowy month for most of the state. Because of that snow that fell during those 2 days, or really within a 24-hour period, a lot of observing sites, especially in central and eastern Pennsylvania, received well over their normal December snowfall. And in fact, places like Williamsport and Pittsburgh, they saw well over half of their normal winter snowfall. So some of those places got 2 to 3 feet of snow. And so that's more than they definitely get in December, but certainly what they get in 2 to 3 months of a winter season for snow.
A big story in Pennsylvania for the second half of 2020 was the drought conditions across much of the Commonwealth. Kyle explained that the large snowfall event in December did help alleviate some of the drought conditions, but not immediately.
So we had the snowfall, and then it was relatively chilly for a few days, and we didn't get a whole lot of snow melt to really help with any sort of adding to soil moisture or alleviating any drought. However, then about a week later, so when we got into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, we actually received a pretty heavy rainfall event where most of the state received between 1 and 3 inches of rainfall. So between that relatively heavy rainfall that occurred a week later, along with some of the snow melt of that really heavy snow that fell the week before, that's really what took a big dent out of the drought that we were seeing. So by that point, most of the states, parts of central and northern Pennsylvania that were in moderate or more extreme drought conditions, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor, that was basically eliminated by the end of December. So that really saturating rainfall that occurred, along with the heavy snowfall that occurred, really helped to knock that drought out.
As we look ahead to the remainder of the 2020 to 2021 winter season, Kyle states that there are a few methods useful for determining what we can expect.
So when you look at analogs, so a couple things that I like to look at are if we have a really active tropical season, which we did last year heading into the winter, and the fact that we're in La Nina conditions right now. If you take a couple of those factors and look at how that impacts winters in Pennsylvania, what we should see over the rest of the winter is milder than average temperatures. Harder to really discriminate what kind of precipitation we're going to get and whether we're going to be above or below normal through the rest of the year. However, one thing that was interesting that's happening really as we speak and over the past several days or past week or so is that we're seeing a sudden stratospheric warming event. So here in early to mid-January, we're experiencing that. And that's basically just a rapid warming of the upper levels of the atmosphere. And that connects actually to about a couple of weeks later, there's interactions between the upper levels and the surface that we receive relatively chilly temperatures a couple of weeks later. So that would indicate that as we head into later January and early February, even mid-February, we could see some really cold temperatures.
Although it is uncertain if Pennsylvania's snow lovers will see another big event like the December snowstorm, we can expect a cool down in February with otherwise relatively mild temperatures for the rest of the winter season. For Whether or Not, I'm Salix Iverson.
Hello everyone, it's Ryan DePhillips back again with your extended forecast. But first, I want to give a quick weekend recap. And again, this upcoming weekend is going to be a bit of a chilly one, but a dry one, especially on Saturday as temperatures will be in the mid-20s, so make sure you bundle up. Sunday though, increasing cloudiness for our next storm system. And for the extended forecast, with our average high of 34 degrees, it's going to be well below average. And again, on Monday, we can have that storm system, mostly snow. Again, a bit of uncertainty how much, but I think we can get at least a couple inches of snow. And then leftover snow showers on Tuesday. But other than a potential snowmaker on Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday should be mostly dry. So that's what we have in store. And now for the Weather Whiz quiz question. How many North American lakes are projected to permanently lose ice cover by 2098? Is it A, 4,900 lakes? Is it B, 5,700 lakes? Is it C, 6,200 lakes? Or is it D, 7,100 lakes?
And the correct answer is B. And Ryan, it's really unfortunate that we even need to study this type of data.
Yeah, Joe, I agree. But however, I think it's important that scientists continue to perform these type of studies so that our society can make these changes. And that's all we have for this week's episode of Whether or Not. We are your co-hosts. I'm Ryan DePhillips.
And I'm Joe Ruch. Have a great weekend.